photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
Good morning and welcome to the judging of the 17th category in the 2025 Australian Photographic Prize. We are judging the travel category. So wherever you're tuning in from around the globe, we're glad to have you with us. I'm Robin Campbell. I am the Foundation Director of the prize, and I'm here at the request of Competition Director Daniel Bingham and Director of Judging Chris Anderson, who have worked incredibly hard to bring this year's awards together. Big thank you also to Nathan Bingham, who's running live stream, and Helen, our scribe. In Australia, we open events like this with an acknowledgement of country. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this event is hosted today, the Wurundjeri Wurrung Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to any First Nation people joining us today. We'd like to thank our sponsors for their contributions to the prize. Our major sponsor, Nikon Australia, thank you so much for awarding the overall winner with $5,000 in Nikon equipment. Big shout out to Julie, Kylie, and the whole Nikon team. We really value your ongoing support. Also, AZO, thank you for supporting the 2025 Creative Photographer of the Year with a monitor valued over $2,500. KL and Godots, who are sponsoring the Classic Division, and Ilford, thank you so much for sponsoring the Single Capture Division. I'd also like to thank Photography Studies College, who are offering a $1,500 scholarship to our High School Photographer of the Year. That's right, secondary school. This is not even university. Love that they're encouraging the next generation of photographers. And Print Shop, we really appreciate your contribution of a print consultation and 2 A1 prints valued at $500 for our Student of the Year. Please take a moment to visit their websites and show them some love. So this is how today will run. Each finalist image will be assessed by our amazing panel of judges who you're about to meet, and you will get to see scores live. You will hear some incredible, insights, education, retouching, and everything. We hope you take that on board, and there will also be challenges as well. Don't forget the challenges. They are highly entertaining. After all of the images have been judged, the judges will deliberate offline to choose our top 3 place getters, and they will be revealed tomorrow at our live awards presentation. So make sure you tune in from 5 o'clock onwards. So before we get started with the judging, we are going to check out a run through of the top 32 travel finalists. Over to you, Nathan. I now have the honour of introducing our panel mentor for this session, Tony Hewitt. Tony is a Perth-based global wanderer and fine art photographer. His photography spans aerial, landscape, portrait, and commercial genres. His imagery is just extraordinary. I've been admiring his work for years, and it really does look at that intersection between human nature and human influence and creating amazing work that is often very inspirational. So, Tony, you're a Grandmaster of Photography with both the AIPP and the WPPI, Honorary Fellow of the AIPP and Fellow of the NZIPP. He's been a dedicated supporter of the Australian Photographic Prize since its initiation, and he brings decades of insight, leadership, and clarity to our panels. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here and, as always, to contribute to a competition and an event such as this, which not only provides the opportunity for photographers to demonstrate and express their work and share their work, but also to inspire and educate the wider audience as they get a chance to look at it. I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm just going to go through the rules of this category, travel category. It falls under the single capture division, where the single capture division celebrates truly authentic photography. Post-production techniques may only be used to enhance an image without altering the authenticity of the scene or subject matter of the original capture, and it is single capture. You can see more of that on the website if you go and have a look. And the specific travel category rules are the images are looking for images that convey an essence of place, people, and or cultural encounters. Travel images usually evoke a strong atmosphere, character, experiences, and uniqueness of a location. What I'd like to do is introduce you to the judges just very briefly. Our judging panel, as I mentioned earlier, is a very elite panel, and starting with Alan Moyle, who's the creative mind behind Photobat. I've known Alan for a long time and someone I've admired for that same period of time. He specialises in fun, authentic family portraits and creative commissions, and his work very often blends a sense of humour with strong storytelling and connection. Holding a Master of Photography 2 with the RPP, he is also an NZIPP Master and has a Bachelor of Applied Science in Photography with honours. He proudly claims the title of 14-time Dad of the Year, which I think a few men might share with him, but no doubt he's earned that title, and brings to the panel a practical experience and a fresh, accessible take on portrait photography. We're very privileged to also have, as being an international competition, from all the way from the USA, particularly LA, the Los Angeles-based photojournalist and educator with a career spanning decades, that is Gerard Burkham. Thank you for joining us, Gerard. His work has appeared in the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, Agence France Press, and beyond, covering everything from major news events and sports to portrait, travel, and documentary assignments. He has been heavily involved in things that involve Pulitzer Prize winning editions of the Los Angeles Times, including coverage of the LA riots in '92, Northridge earthquakes in '94, and more. As a professor at Santa Monica College since 2004, he leads a nationally awarded photojournalism program and brings with him to the panel his experience and deep storytelling instincts, which will bring insight to the documentary and editorial space as part of this. So very privileged to have you here with us, Gerard. Harriet Tarbuck from Victoria, another Melbourne-based judge who is an educator, curator, and a commercial photographer in her own right, as well as being a photographic artist, co-founder of the Photo Collective and co-host of When Harry Met Sally, which is a photography podcast. Her work and practice centre around inclusive, diverse projects and the role of photography plays in storytelling and connection. She has judged awards, including the Walkley Awards and many others, and she brings a passion for community-centred image making and a thoughtful collaborative spirit. Lisa Kurtz is from Brisbane. She's a Brisbane-based photo and video artist whose work explores memory, place, and time through contemporary photography practice. And I should mention that Brisbane, of course, is the Meanyan community or area. She has been a finalist in prestigious Australian art prizes, including Olive Cotton Award, Percival Photographic Portrait Prize Head-On, and the Clip Award. And her public art project include commission for location, and other things. A graduate of the Queensland College of Art, she's also a lecturer in contemporary photo media and comes along to the judging panel bringing a keen eye for concept-driven work and artistic depth. Matthew Vasilescu, I think I got that right, Matthew, Sydney-based commercial photographer known for his emotionally observant and visually polished work, he brings decades of experience from behind the camera with a refined blend of science and instinct to every image, providing a product of both deep study and years of practice. And it's this that he brings along to his judging, where he engages with the same depth and intention in terms of the way he approaches his judging. Is a past recipient of the highest scoring print at the RPP Australian Awards and continues to provide work for clients which value thoughtful imagery, subtle craft, and visual clarity. Naran Zolu, another global wonder, is a traveller, writer, cultural guide, and commercial photographer specialising in a lot of things, including architecture, corporate imagery, and travel. He explores memory aesthetics and the philosophy of slow travel, having been through Middle East, Central Asia, the Balkans, and far beyond that. Deep fascination for ancient civilizations and sacred spaces drive his storytelling and his photography, where he looks to preserve cultural memory. And he brings another strong commitment to the panel in terms of looking for greater depth and attention to the way we produce photography. And finally, but certainly not last, is Natasha Ward from Melbourne, someone who specialises in commercial, pets, travel, and other types of photography, an associate with the AIPP and with a Bachelor of Applied Science in Photography from RMIT. She is historically a national judge, and in her judging, she likes to bring a considered approach which seeks to provide positive and fulfilling feedback, looking to contribute to the creative growth of all the entrants and those who are viewing the competition. So thank you for Natasha. Wow, what a panel of people. We've got a lot of work to get through. We've got to try and do that in less than 2 hours. Guys, it's a privilege to lead you. Not that you need leading, but let's get into some judging. I'm going to start with Alan Moyle, Harriet Tarbuck, Lisa Kurtz, Matthew Vasilescu, Natasha Ward. We have 7 judges, everybody watching. 5 at any one time will be able to make an active assessment of the image and give a comment. We'll keep rotating them quite quickly. Having said that, let's get into the first image in the travel category of the Australian Photographic Prize. This image scores an 84 silver award. I have a feeling that Harriet's not that happy with that, so she's going to challenge with a 93. She sees it as a gold. Harriet, take it away. Tell us what you saw.
Yeah, what a way to start this category, and I've gone full on in. Absolutely exquisite image, a very classic sort of travel image. It feels very kind of, it could be placed in many eras. It feels like it could have been taken decades ago when travel photography just started. It also feels very contemporary as well. It feels a little like a film image. The texture of the actual image and the quality is just beautiful. The way that the photographer has filled the frame with the horns coming up on the left-hand side, that beautiful cow looking at us there, and then you almost sort of miss the character in the middle. You kind of have to really search in there, and then, you know, there's this beautiful dust kicking up, and then there they are, just at one with the herd around them, you know. Just stunning, and I'm really excited to kick off the category with this beautiful image.
Thank you,
Encourage
Harriet.
everyone to look again.
Thank you, Harriet. I'm going to go to Lisa on 81.
Thanks, Harriet. That was insightful, and I'm listening. What kept me from moving up into the silver with distinction and gold was very much that really sharp foreground, that, you know, right at the front of the bottom of the image. It was disappointing. It was sharp. Nothing else is particularly sharp. Yes, we have some of the animals are a bit, but that is so sharp, such very much there, and that's where my eye is resting, because everything else is magical. So I'm listening, Harriet. Look forward to what you have to say.
Okay, Matthew, you're close to the mark on 83.
Yeah, I'm right at 83. And Harriet, I do appreciate all the insights that you've given us to look at in this image. The things that I really appreciate about it are the striking figure. You know, he was the first person that I went to in it, feeling like he's training these animals, teaching these animals, caring for these animals, and herding them, shepherding them. And the reason that I'm sitting in 83 is partially because of that big central cow figure. When you zoom into it, and we can zoom in to 100%, he is just a little what you would call muddy. He's a little grey. He's not really sharp, and the sharpness is coming to that other cow onto the right hand side, not sort of to that central part of the figures in the story.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Let's go to, I'll go back to you, Harriet. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great insight there, guys. Yeah, I think for me, the central part of the image is sharp. There's two cows there looking straight at me, just along that line with the man, and that is sharp. It's the center of the image, and it's right there. I think that the cow on the right-hand side is mirroring the cow on the left. There's a real kind of mirroring that's happening between those. I love the fall off. I love that it just kind of goes to it goes kind of out of focus, but as far as we can see, it's cows and this herd. I'm even now looking at this man, and he's sort of emulating the cows as well. That beautiful shoulder that's kind of coming up at the back, and the ribs that are there. I mean, this is travel photography. It's not commercial photography. We could go in and pixel hunt and find sharpness and all those things, but this is a scene that's been captured on the move. It's kind of creating a moment and an atmosphere, and that's travel photography. So I encourage you to kind of look again and maybe see if we can get it, at least, if not into gold, which I believe it deserves, into maybe a bit of a distinction there.
Thanks, Harriet. You hold your score at 93. Everybody else can take on board what they've heard and reassess. And for the audience's benefit, that means judges have the opportunity to rescore, but they can keep their score as it is, or they could choose to change it based on the comments they've heard if it's changed the way they've viewed the image. And we have an 87, silver with distinction. So there was obviously some things there that Harriet convinced people, and they've agreed with her and taken the score up a little bit. So congratulations to the photographer. As I said, we're going to move things around quickly. So Alan, you're going to step back. Gerard, I'm going to bring you into the into the frying pan, into the furnace. And let's have the next image, please. Welcome, Gerard, to the panel. Lisa. We have an 84, which is a silver award. And I'm guessing with the scores as they are that Gerard, you might like to challenge that. You've seen something more than the other judges. So welcome to the panel. You're up.
I'll do my best. This is such a distinct image that has it's so well composed. I mean, this echo of the curve on the top with the dragon on the bottom, the way the color anchors your attention in the center of it, on the lower center. It has such a strong sense of place. To me, it feels like that world-class kind of travel photograph. And I would encourage everyone to reevaluate your scores and bring it up to a slightly higher.
Okay, I'm going to go to Natasha on 78. So she's at the other end. Microphone, Natasha. You're on mute. Thank you.
Sorry, guys. I really enjoyed the image. I thought the color palette, I really loved the brightness of the men with the dragon. I was struggling really between that highly competent and silver rangers. So I really felt it was well executed with sound technique and clear intent. But I probably not quite up to where you are, just because I think there's just a few little technical things that kind of kept me in that range. But I am listening and I am curious to see what others think as well. Thank
Okay, I'm going to go to you, Matthew. You're on 86, so you're in the middle.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle, and I do very much agree with what Gerard said. To me, this feels like a still from a film as well. That lovely, those circles and the centric circles, that lovely little bit of cloud or mist or something that's in that center top of the frame really kind of brings us and draws you down to that color and that dragon that has just a little bit of movement. And again, zooming in, the thing that I really appreciated in it is our leader of the dragon. He's got a really big smile on his face. And that's something that just feels really glorious, that they're very happy here to perform this ceremony as it is, which it is on an annual basis. I'm really happy with the image.
Thanks, Matthew. I'm going to go back to you, Gerard. Right of reply.
I don't disagree with anybody. For me, it's just like there's a sense of place. The movement is so fluid. The way that there's so much symmetry in the photograph, and the use of the color. I mean, it's just really hits me as a very powerful image.
Thanks, Gerard. You have asked people to consider a high score, so you hold your score at 92, and everybody else can take on board what they've heard, and rescore. Thank you. This image now scores a silver with distinction. So there you go. Went up to the next category. Well done, Gerard. Obviously, they agreed with you to a point. Let's have a quick judge change. Harriet, you can step back. Naran, you can come in. And let's have the next image, please. And while the judges are assessing that, I just want to do a shout out to our good friends in the industry, John Tozer and Ken Spence, who I believe are watching in from Castlemaine. Hi, gents. Nice to hear your names being brought up, that somebody is watching the show. Okay, this is getting very interesting. We have judging scores all over the shop. So I'm going to call this as a panels challenge, which means that all judges can speak, and all judges can rescore, but no judge gets a right of reply. So I'm going to start with Matthew, who's 12 points above the score, which is 84. Silver award, which is certainly an excellent score, but we'll start with Matthew. The scores go all the way down to 78. So Matthew, you're up first. You don't get a right of reply, but you can alter your score.
Thank you, Tony. Firstly, I'll say, as I put my score in, and I'm a person sitting at 96, my heartbeat just went up quite a few skips when this came up, especially in the run through. Like, it's so fun. All of the faces that are presented to us, some are smiling at us, some are screaming at us, some are talking to us. But all of those faces that the photographer has captured, and you can see how they've been walking around wherever they are walking around and saying, here's what I'm going to photograph and here's how I'm going to put it together, because they've already planned this as they've started shooting it, because we have these boxes and the way that it's presented. They all have texture, they all have some depth for something that is presented to us in a very two-dimensional shape and a little two-dimensional place. It feels like the double Brady Bunch in looking at it. We've got this whole family that is in front of us, So 84, I think, is way too low a score for this. It really needs to come up quite a way, at least into gold. If not, you can see where I am sitting up to really reward the photographer for capturing what they have captured for us and presenting it to us in the way they have presented it to us.
Thank you, Matthew. Let's go to the other end. Nuran, you're on 78.
Just like maybe I'm a bit harsh for this image, but for a gold image, I'm going to go up to the silver range, but I'm happy to listen more. But what is actually, I didn't go to award range in the first place is ideas, concept is great, but the thing is the graphic element of it. This didn't work, and I can't find any flow in the images, like just like I couldn't find the connection between them and try to create communicate with peace. But I'm very happy to listen, and I'm all ears.
Lisa.
Just briefly, I often find when we have grid presentations, they're often really powerful in print form because we get a sense of this contained universe in a print, in a mat, and we really can fully engage with that a little bit deeper. So I feel the grid format can often on a digital screen feel a bit cold, but I will come back to Matthew as our first judge that spoke. Matthew, I think I undervalued the humour. So I appreciate you referencing the humour, and I think that that's a lovely part of travel photography that we sometimes do overlook. But also when you mentioned Brady Bunch, it made me immediately think that might have been sort of a fabulous number of grids, like something that has that way for us to access the grid and, why do we have 16, for example? So I'm always looking for concept that sits behind aesthetics.
Thank you, Lisa. Gerard, can we get a comment from you, please? You're on mute, mate. You have to turn your microphone.
The mouse is running all over the place. I'm kind of, Nuran brings up this thing about there's no connection between them. And I think that was part of why I'm grading in the low 80s. On one hand, I'm really impressed with the photographer's attention to seeing the things that he's seeing here. But I think, Nuran is actually saying that there's too many of them. If it is the Brady Bunch, that's a smaller number of grids that we look at, and you have more of an opportunity to show a range of the expressions and emotions that each one of these little boxes would show. I think it's brilliant in that the photographer saw these things, but now the presentation, I think, is more where it falls apart a little bit for me.
Okay, Natasha, you were up in the 90s.
Yeah, I absolutely love this image. I think the simplicity of it really speaks volumes. I also love that you can tell it's clearly in Italy. So there's a lot of name tags and places that are listed within each frame, which clearly there's definitely reminds me of some of the locations in Italy, and you can clearly tell by the names that it's really got that sense of place being in the Italian regions. I also think I can sort of understand what people are saying, but I actually think it works really well. You've got the different faces really, when you sort of look at them individually and then as a whole, there's a lot of you've got the red brick and the way that sort of weaves through different frames and the different terracotta colors of those Italian buildings. So that really, I think, helps to bring the sense of place to the image. So hopefully, I actually really hope that I think I underscored it as well. So I'm going to go up a little bit with you, Matthew. So, and I hope that what you've heard has helped encourage the rest of the judges as well.
Okay, thank you, judges. You all had the chance to rescore, so take on board what you've heard and have another chance to sort of assess where you think it sits. This image, this image stays at 84. The reason is it averages 89, so the average has gone up, but with 3 judges under 85, it only gets a majority of 84. So silver award, well done, and just goes to show the diversity of not just the imagery, but also the judging. Let's, Natasha, you can take a break, nothing to do with your comments, and I'll bring Alan back onto the panel. Thanks. Next image, please. For those watching at home, you'll notice the judges gazing away from the screen sometimes. Most judges will be working with more than one screen. They'll have a calibrated monitor, something like an ASO monitor. I have 3 of them in front of me, not to show off. I just love my ASOs. But having a calibrated quality monitor to make sure they're assessing the full potential of the image. And that's why they might be looking off to the side at any one point in time as they're making their comments or as they're looking to assess the image. Image scores 84, which is a silver award. Lisa's out there on her own with a scoring in the gold range. So Lisa, I think we'll just take that as your challenge. It is an auto challenge. It'll be an auto challenge, so you don't get a right of reply because you're more than 10 points above everyone. So you get a chance to speak first, so you'll have to get your point across. We'll take a few more comments and then everyone has the chance to rescore.
Thanks, Tony. I really just bought into this immediately. I love the fact that when we look at the frame, we are in a world of our own. We are in this snowy, beautiful urban space. We've got human interest. We've got nice balance, nice symmetry. I'm comfortable with every element. Every element for me has earned its place in this frame. I get a sense of space plus place. I get a sense of a climate. I get a sense of the people that live in this space. I feel that the monochrome treatment is timeless. It's really engaging. And I love the fact that we have some different focal points. So some elements are in focus and some aren't. I found nothing in this to not take it into the gold level. I encourage my judges to look again.
Thank you, Lisa. Gerard, you're on 80, so you're at the lower end.
I just love this picture on the level that you see this great sense of environment for the location, and then the texture of that snow I think is fantastic. And then the anchor of the woman in the foreground with the umbrella; those all make really strong elements in this. My only thing is that I wish it were cropped a little tighter. I don't know if that's a legitimate criticism. There's this layered storytelling with the woman in the foreground and then the 2 women in the background, and I feel like that personality, that character, that relationship between them would be stronger if we eliminated the woman to the right and maybe brought down a little bit of the stuff on top. You'd still have the textural element. You'd still have the fantastic environment. But the story of the layers that are going on in this photograph, I think, would be a little more effective.
Thanks, Gerard. Matthew, you're around the middle again, 83.
Yeah, I'm right at 83. And I agree as well. You know, the texture, the depth, the way that this snow from the really out of focus flakes in our foreground carry you all the way through the layers to the nice textural layers of the brick and the building behind. I would agree with Gerard just a little bit when it comes to small little elements in seeing images like this. That really strong pole down the left-hand side just gets a little bit distracting on that side. That lady is a touch too close to that. I feel like she's got a really nice little place between those trees, and she maybe was coming from there instead of her umbrella and her blending into that sharp tree behind, which is kind of giving her a bit of challenge for her place in the image.
Okay, let's go to Alan. Thanks, Alan, for a comment.
Yeah, I was sort of down in that low 80s, and I'm very glad this got challenged because I have been able to look at it more and know that I was, mistaken. So I feel like if we take a crop down from the top and a crop off from the left to get rid of that tree and things like that, the whole dynamics of this image changes, and it actually doesn't work then because your focus goes directly to the tree in the middle because it is much more focused onto that tree once you remove all those other elements. Whereas I feel like we've got a perfect double frame photo. We've got one person here in the foreground, and then we've got the 2 to the right, and that sort of the umbrellas kind of bringing those elements together, and it just perfectly, not being the absolute perfect composition that it is, really does add to the whole dynamics of this image. Again, crop it down from the top, that archway directly above the foreground umbrella dominates the image as well as the tree. So I definitely feel like, again, that sense of place that we see through here, that feeling that we get, and the work that's been done to make this image as amazing as it is means that I'm definitely coming up to play in that sort of gold pool.
Okay, thanks, Alan. We'll take that as all the comments. Everybody has a chance just to consider what they've heard, and you all have the opportunity to rescore accordingly. Again, for the audience, judges don't have to change their score, but they can choose to change it if the information they've just been sharing amongst each other has changed their opinion.
Change my score. Just going to refresh.
I can't change it.
Daniel, is that? Oh, there we go. Should be good to go now, judges.
Great, thank you.
We have a silver with distinction 87. Great comments, everybody. And there's some really good feedback in there for everybody. Thank you. Lisa, you can step back for a minute. Harriet, if you'd like to rejoin us, and let's have the next image, please. Next image. Wrong image. That's going backwards. Bear with us, judges. It's got a little technical hitch, and we'll be right back with you. It's just this time that, there we go. We're up and running. Just Gerard. Thank you. And we have an 83 silver award. Are we happy with that, judges? Matthew would like to challenge that. Thanks, Matthew. 88, off you go.
Yes, look, I'm on 88. When I look at this image initially, it's just so graceful, it's peaceful, it's intriguing looking at the little boy to see, I feel like we're almost looking around the corner with him to see what he's looking at. That really lovely, strong diagonal lines that are bisecting the image, that is the stairs that he's sitting on. And the really lovely expression that's on his face as well. He just really looks like he's in a calm, happy, peaceful sort of little place. And I'm rewarding the photographer for capturing this moment in probably what was a very busy place as well.
Thanks, Matthew. Alan, 77.
Again, beautiful lights, all those sort of bits and pieces that Matthew had said. I just feel I don't quite get that sort of sense of calm. And I'm kind of taken a bit away with the composition in terms of that, the pole at the front that's leaning in to the image. Again, the sharpness of that, it does seem to be a little bit sharper than the boy's actual face, just a smidge sharper. And so I kind of come down the stairs, hit that pole and go out of the image. And then I just feel like if we had a bit of a stronger crop, again, if we cropped it in, and if that pole was not there, it is absolutely spectacular. But that pole in the foreground there, being there, it just is taking me out.
Gerard, you're in the middle.
I'm in agreement with the idea that this isn't cropped as tightly as it could have been. That interplay of the light and the shadow is fantastic. The diagonal of that highly textured wooden stairwell that comes down is fantastic. I just feel like the subject is lost a little bit in the space. And, following the idea of rule of thirds and putting the face right at the upper right-hand corner and sort of shaving that left side out a little bit, I think it would just make it a stronger photograph. I mean, it's brilliant. Other than that, it's got this great sense of light. The calmness in the boy's face is fantastic. It's just, again, for me, presentation on how it's framed.
Thanks, Gerard. Let's go back to Matthew.
Thank you for the comments from everyone. Alan, as far as and Gerard as well, as far as that pole in that foreground, I think that's giving us a really strong vertical. You know, it's just taking us up to shoulder height, just about of our little figure. Yes, perhaps I could agree that there might be a stronger crop that will tighten us up into the image. But at the same time, I'm also looking at this as a travel picture to be used in publication. And when we're using a travel picture in publication, we want space around it. We want to be able to move it in and around a layout. And this gives us all of that ability, as well as to punch into it, to crop into the image. So I'm really rewarding the photographer for giving us that room to breathe in and around that image at the same time.
Thanks, Matthew. We will, you hold your score at 88 and everybody else has the chance to reconsider their scores. Thanks. This image scores an 84, silver award. Well done, all the judges. Now, we are, to the audience out there, we're going to take a 2-minute break. We just have a slight technical glitch that we'd like to clear before we go forward. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. Judges, if you just like to sit tight, you've got a couple of minutes if you need a break or grab a cup of tea, but only 2 minutes. So have you back as soon as possible if you are going to leave your chair. Thanks, guys. See you in 2 minutes. 2. Well, welcome back. We're here at the travel category, Australian Photographic Prize. We just had a slight glitch there that we sorted out, and we are ready to go back to our next category. The judges that will be on the panel will be Nuran, Natasha, Lisa, Harriet, and Gerard. And we'll have the next image, please. And this image scores an 82 and is a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. I'm going to grab a quick comment, if I can, from Harriet as to what could be done to lift this a little bit higher, perhaps.
Sure, just a really beautiful image. And what I'm enjoying a lot is that the photographer is obviously there with this person. They're really in their place there. It feels very intimate, which is really beautiful. I guess the thing that's just drawing me a little bit out is there's a couple of highlights. There's one at the top of the frame, and there's one, that fire at the bottom right of the frame, which is kind of pulling my attention away from this beautifully kind of lit, gorgeous kind of moment that's happening in the middle, with that lovely smoke and that light on the character's face. I also am a bit distracted by the hand that's sort of slightly blocking their face as well. If that was just a bit lower and we could really see that beautiful face, that would just have brought it into silver distinction for me.
Thanks. Thank you, Harriet. Next image, please. Thank you, Lisa. This image scores an 82, and Gerard feels it's worth a little bit more than that, or perhaps a lot more than that. So Gerard, with a 90, you're going to tell everybody what you saw that they might have missed.
Well, it's an art photograph, which I think travel photography is allowed to do. It's very modern and it's modernistic in its design, the spareness of it, the sense of place, the atmosphere of the sky, the boldness of using that bench, we'll call it, as a defining shape inside the image. I just think it's a really powerful image.
Thank you, Gerard. Let's go to Harriet on 76.
Yeah, I was at the other end, and yeah, I see all those lovely graphic design elements of it, and yes, it's very artistic. I for me, I'm sort of running off when I look at the category rules and I see uniqueness of a location, that's something that's really drawing me into the images, and I feel like it's perhaps not the most unique of images. I feel like I've kind of seen this graphic nature of the image before. However, it is done well. There is the shadows on the bench itself are quite dark, and I'm sort of losing detail in there, although the sea is well kept. And there's this sort of quite a heavy vignette that the artist has used to kind of really double down on the storytelling, which could have been relaxed a little bit. But I'm listening, and I'd love to hear what other people say, and perhaps give it another go.
Thanks, Harriet. Lisa, you're sitting in the middle there.
Thanks, Tony. I was just putting my hand up to say I'd like to just pose a couple of questions for Gerard. Does Gerard have right of reply, Tony?
He does.
Yeah. Okay. So, Gerard, I'm seeing the graphic element. I'm seeing the magic. I quite like the fact that that is just a solid block. I like the bench. I think that was really brave, as you said. I feel, though, that we've got more of a sense of space rather than place. And again, harking back to what Harriet was speaking about the category itself. And for me, I see obviously, inspirations, Michael Kenner, even Sugimoto. I see those sort of art references. And I just feel a tiny bit let down by the very blandness of the landscape off in the right-hand corner there. And I suppose I see magic everywhere else, and then there's this tiny bit. And I always feel every element has to earn its place. What I absolutely love are the little they're not poles, but whatever they are on the horizon, I really do engage with those. And the longer we've had to talk about that, I'm really finding those really quite enjoyable. But I'd like you to address the feeling for me of a bit of a no man's land, and it's space, not place.
That's all very true. It has that sense of the liminal space where it's about an atmosphere where people can be here, but they're not. It's in waiting. It's ready for human beings to be there or not. So those all kind of hold me on this photograph. And now that you point out how the landscape kind of intrudes itself along the right-hand corner there, can't disagree with that. I actually personally would have graded this a little higher. To my eye, the horizon looks tilted. And I don't know if anybody else sees that. And I can't decide whether that's a purposeful thing to, that Dutch angle where something's amiss in the scene. But it is more of an art photograph than a travel photograph. But that doesn't mean you can't use those kinds of photographs. Right now, we're doing stories at the LA Times where they actually are doing more artful senses of place than sometimes the place itself. And I just think it's a direction that travel photography is moving in right now. Is it a highly stylized sense of the place? Does that address what you're saying, Lisa?
Yeah, no, thanks, Gerard. Let's go to a rescore. You'll hold your score. Nuran, are you back? Okay, so Nuran is not going to score. Alan, you're going to score this image in the rescore. Thank you. And we have an 87, silver distinction. Well done. Good scoring. Thanks, guys. Okay, we'll go to the next image, please.
I take it I'm still on, Tony.
You are, Alan. Thank you.
Okay.
Image scores 84, silver award. We have an elective challenge from Harriet on 92. Off you go, Harriet.
Oh, this is a wonderful image. And the more I sit with it, the more fabulous it becomes. It really is about place. All those details on the left-hand side as you go in and look around really solidify kind of where this is and what's going on. The photographer could have easily made a portrait here, had your classic travel picture from a country in what looks like Southeast Asia. And they've just done something really different. It's got that uniqueness. It's really individual. They've really found their own way with it. The person that's kind of like blocked off by that corrugated, what looks like, I think it's probably wood, but that corrugated looking kind of structure is amazing. How that texture ripples through his body, even in the legs, but of course the ribs, that shape that the light's hitting. It looks really sort of contemporary and feels abstract, but it's kind of obvious that it's travel. The bike is bizarre, but it kind of adds to this whole kind of feeling of awkwardness and uniqueness in this, like, really what you would assume would be, it would be so easy to take an obvious travel picture here, and the photographer's just done something really fantastic.
Alan, 78.
Yeah, I love the framing of how this has been done. I love the I don't want to say awkward, but the unusual cropping of our subject and things like that. And again, all the details through the image. Yeah, I feel they're great. I just personally feel like potentially on the bike panel side, I think I want to see that kind of, my eye goes to there and then back to the guy. I really want to see, what's there, but I want the value kind of down a bit more, so we do focus onto the person, and then also maybe a little bit more care in the burning in. So if we have a look around the leg, the bottom of the leg, there's a very obvious sort of haloing happening down there, where you've got where it was the floor was brighter initially and it's been darkened down, and you can sort of see that around the legs. So that's where I was, but I'd love to hear some more.
Thanks, Alan. Let's go to Lisa on 88.
Thanks, Tony. I kept putting my hand up,
I know.
wanting to comment, and then the mouse was taking it down. Harriet, thanks for challenging. I felt when I hit my 88, I might have been a bit low, so I appreciate that. I love the fact that I think for me, every element has earned its place. There's nothing here I would not want to have in this frame. And I feel that I love that we aren't allowed, like often with our travel images, we're the observer, we've flown in, we get to take photos of people in different places, in different demographics, in different circumstances, and then we fly back out. And what I love is we're kind of the viewers being it's a bit of a rejection for the viewer. So you don't get to consume this person and their life. So I quite like the fact we can't see everything and we can't see them, and that we've got this awkwardness in the photo. To me, it's a really contemporary travel photo, speaking and commenting on cultural experience as well. So thanks, Harriet. I'm going up into gold.
Thank you. Back to you, Harriet.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you said it very eloquently, probably better than I did about that. Not being allowed in, but kind of being there, and I love that. So thank you for bringing that, Alan. I see what you see. I could have, the processing is a little heavy-handed. I'm not going to dwell too much more on that. Because for me, the storytelling is kind of what's happening here. It's kind of storytelling. It's showing about place and people. It's artistic and contemporary as well. So I'm just going to leave it on that note.
Thanks, Harriet. You hold your score at 92. Everybody else can rescore accordingly. Thank you. We have an 88, silver with distinction. Well done to the photographer, and congratulations. Let's have a judge change. Nuran, if you'd like to rejoin us, and Lisa, you can have a little break. Thank you. And next image, please. Thanks, Natasha. Image scores 83, silver award. Quick comment from Gerard, please.
I think it's a beautiful photograph. I mean, the color of, I'm not sure what these plants are just fantastic, along with the texture of it. And then the splash of light blue in the boy. The connection is really strong with the way he's connecting with the camera and the viewer through that. I keep coming back sometimes to thinking that some photographs need to be a little tighter in their framing to have more impact, and that's kind of where I'm on a teetering edge right now. He's so centered. Does he need to be more centered to make more of a strong contact with his eyes? I'm open to suggestion on that. I'm open to what other judges feel about that.
Yeah, we might take a comment for the photographer because they've got the silver.
Okay.
But thanks, Jared. That was great. That's given people a few things to think about. We're going to have another quick judge change. Matthew, if you'd like to join us again, and Natasha, oh, sorry, Gerard, you can have a little step back for one. And let's have the next image, please. This image scores an 86 silver distinction. All judges are pretty much in alignment there, all around the middle of the 80s. So that's a great score. Congratulations. I'm going to grab a quick comment from Matthew. Thanks, Matthew.
Oh, it's a lovely image to look at. You know, there's really lovely balance from across the frame. Our lovely little central figure of the penguin who's looking sort of forlorn, wondering if he wants to go inside or not. But all the little touches of color in there, it's really well handled, really well captured. It's a lovely image.
Thank you. We'll have another judge change. Harriet, you step back, and we'll bring Lisa back. And let's have the next image, please. Image scores 86 silver with distinction. Challenge from Naran on 91. Nice spread of scores there, Naran. Off you go.
The judges, we placed this one in 86, and I'm just going to ask a gold. I mean, when this image comes in shadows and the highlights, you know, like dark and light, and the subject actually put so perfectly in that area. It's like there's so many interpretation of the story here. And you know why that all that lines are actually there, and why that darkness is as it is. But what's striking is it's a beautiful graphical image in here, but the subject matter is put perfectly. Even the flippers are actually perfectly placed and just like leading like an arrow, just like gorgeous figure going through the light from the darkness to the lightness in here. And while more I'm looking at this image, I think is just definitely need a gold. And please join me with awarding this photographer for this vision. I mean, gorgeous image, and I would like to hear from you why we don't go higher, because of I have 88 and 89. You're so close to the gold, but I'm just going to invite you to gold. Please join me.
Thank you, Narain. Matthew, you're on 78.
Yeah, I am on 78, and perhaps I have underscored it a little, you know, but I was looking around the entire image as well as our central figure in the frame as well, and the lightness that's leading me out of the image in that top left is what's challenging me mostly in looking at it. That we're reaching up for it, but I come across that diagonal as the diver dissects that image, and I'm going to where her hand's going, and I just keep going out. I'm not coming back. I'm not led back with anything. And the other small little issue for me is that hand is very overlit. It's really bright when you punch into it. So the control in that, I know, a very challenging environment as well.
Okay, let's go to Lisa on 89. You were almost gold.
I was almost gold. And Nuran, thank you for encouraging us. Look, I did pull back just a little because of the hand. You know, sometimes when we zoom in, I don't know, because initially it's just breathtaking. It's absolutely breathtaking. I feel we do bounce back because those flippers are so engaging as a shape, line. They bring us back in, the contrast on the dark sky. So I have underscored, but I did want to acknowledge that technically on that hand, I really would have liked a bit more detail and more enjoyment, but I do appreciate the challenging conditions. So Nuran, I'm thinking I would come up and join you. I was so close anyway.
Alan, 88, you're pretty close.
Yeah, I was in a very similar position, as in technically, like, again, everyone said many great things about it, but personally, I'd like to have a little bit crop from the bottom. But then in terms of this category and the limitations in taking this picture, sometimes we can't get that technically perfect, but then the story and what's happening takes us even further. Now, I don't see this as underwater. I see this as interstellar travel. This is the furthest travel shot that we've got in this category, I'd suggest. So for me, this has a definite story and sense of place. And yeah, it's that reaching out to the unknown kind of feeling that is taking me up into that gold category.
I'm going to go back to Nuran, but before I do, Nuran, I just want to add a comment that given it's an underwater shot and we're looking at light beams cutting through water, part of the story from my perspective is that the light hitting the hand has to be brighter to show the intersection of the hand into the light beams. And I think this is one of those rare times where a slightly overlit part of the body actually contributes to the narrative. But anyway, back to you, Nuran.
That's exactly the point I was going to make, that actually hand is actually has to be even brighter there. And, you know, like it's, if I do anything, I darken the figure, but to keep hand as it is. And as Alan said, that actually it's a provocative image and make you think. And what is the great communication for image? How you can create that sort of good image is like open for communication and ideas and get you move to another level. And this image providing all of them, I think is definitely deserve a gold. And for my liking, if you join me, I'll be very happy, and you make one photographer very happy person as well.
Okay, you hold your score around at 91. Everybody else consider the comments and rescore accordingly. Thank you. This image scores gold at 90. Well done. Congratulations to the photographer. Let's have a quick judge change. Natasha, you're going to step back and we're going to bring Gerard back. And let's have the next image, please. Thank you, Matthew. And we have a 79, highly commended, with a challenge from Matthew on 86. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks, Tony. Look, I really appreciate this image for where it's captured and how it's captured. The sharpness, you know, that's why it's taking a little bit more time. The sharpness in every element that's in that ceiling and those gold leaves and things, and the detail in there, the control of the light in each of those windows to not blow those windows out. I will say as well that yes, that top left hand side of the image is a bit distracting, and I was kind of trying to turn it around a little bit to straighten it or change its shape, but I'm still rewarding the photographer for capturing something so sharp for us with so much detail and clarity to see.
Okay, Gerard on 70. Thanks, Gerard. You're on mute.
I agree with Matthew. I mean, it's such a beautiful image. From my perspective, you know, this is a picture you're required to make as a travel photographer. You know, in a sense, it's a detail. I'm always looking for something a little more interpretive. How are the people interacting with that particular space? And I feel like that's what I would be looking for in this photograph. Where are the tourists? Where are the people that occupy this space? which is trouble because now to get this kind of a tight frame, can you also include that? But I feel like this is kind of, it's a yeoman's work. It's something we would do as travel photographers. I don't know that it would. I'm stuck where I am with the 70 because I would like to see more happening in this photograph.
Okay, Lisa, 78.
So I'm in the middle there between the scores that we've just spoken about. I feel that, oh my God, I've just lost my train of thought.
You're in the middle there and you feel that.
Tony, I'm sorry. If there's
That's
scope
okay. I'll go to Niran and I'll come back. Niran?
That's actually, thank you for judges all that comments. And what I would like to say that actually this is a very good representation of the specimen of a building captured quite nicely. It's mainly we take these sort of photos in spot on in the center, but this one give me all about the travel. I mean, I like to make that comment about the people, but this is actually who made this place. This is actually genre of a Baroque architecture, and the Capolo is actually captured in a bit unusual way, but the lines is not working. But the thing is like all the information given in here is like definitely is helping you take you that place. And also is about the learning. I mean, the photography, especially travel photography, is all about the learning and getting what's out there. And this is very good representation of this sort of style and just all the putting elements together. For my liking, if this image is actually like the vignette bit more and the cupola a bit brighter than the rest of the golden arches, there would have been higher score. But again, I think is we are sitting on 79. If you don't go to silver distinction, definitely I'm very happy to stay in the silver. Join in silver, please.
Okay, Lisa, you have something to add?
Just briefly, I feel that there's the photographer could be more distinct about what they are trying to communicate with us. Is it about the architecture? Is it about the art? Is it about the space? We could have had some tourists perhaps leaning over if we were going to talk about people and place. But I also feel the real comment I wanted to make was I feel that this would be wonderful as part of a photo essay. For me, it's an image that would fit a series. It's the detail, as Gerard said. I don't feel for me it's standing alone as a strong gold image, a self-contained single image that's telling us everything successfully. Happy to move into silver. I was sitting at the higher end of highly commended.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Matthew? Right
Yeah, look, I do agree, Lisa, most definitely. It is a series. It's part of a series. But to talk, as we said, what's the main element? Is it the architecture? Is it the art? It's both of those things. We are looking at both of them. We cannot separate them. You can't photograph the architecture and the gold leaf and the building without photographing the art in the same place, because they are inherently entwined together. So the reward in this image is the detail in it, and is how exquisitely it's been captured and how sharp it is for the photographer to know and understand how to capture that and to control all of those elements in it. I definitely will agree with Niran. I think it at least needs to be in a silver if you can't come up to a silver distinction where I sit. Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. You hold your score. Everybody else can rescore, please. This image scores an 83, silver award. Well done, everybody. Let's have Alan, you're going to have a little break, and I'm going to bring back Harriet. Next image, please. Image scores a silver. 81. Congratulations to the photographer. And a quick comment, if we can, from Gerard. Thanks, Gerard. You're on mute.
My cursor is getting away from me. This is a beautiful photograph. I mean, it's a portrait of an individual, a man who sells these items, and in the sense that it's got a really strong sense of his personality, and it shows the space that he occupies in a really, really strong way. I think this, it really is a fine photograph in that street photography kind of style. I really do like it. Does it transcend the moment? That's where I'm getting a little bit sort of fading a little bit on it. Does it need to be ever so slightly tightly framed? And I know I keep coming back to that. I like the impact of the individual, in my photographs. And I'm not sure that's a fair assessment here, but I think it's a really, really strong photograph.
Thanks, Gerard. We'll have the next image, please. Image scores 85, silver distinction. Everybody's pretty solidly in that silver, middle silver range. Great scoring. Lisa, quick comment from you. Thanks. You're on 85.
Yeah, really enjoyable image. Everything that's sharp feels appropriate. Everything that's soft also feels appropriate. I'm just wondering if perhaps for the photographer, perhaps there may have been another moment that might have given that bit deeper sense of connection between the human and the herd, and perhaps a little bit of a different treatment for those highlights in the background there. Maybe some subtle work in that area, but really, really enjoyable. Well done.
Thanks, Lisa. We'll have a judge change. Natasha, you can come back, and Lisa, you can step off the panel for a minute. Let's have the next image, please. I'm going to take Nuran out of this scoring, and I'm going to bring back Alan. Thanks, Alan. So you can put a score in when you're ready. Thanks, mate. We have a 81 silver award. Natasha, I'm guessing you might challenge that with an 88. Off you go.
Yes, thanks, Tony. I absolutely love the look of this image. I think that the way that the photographer has seen this and captured it is absolutely beautiful. The structure of the building with the rowers in the foreground, it's really giving that sense of place. It's giving a sense of time where you can see the mist coming off the water. I believe I did go into that silver with distinction range just because I believe it is just that little bit more elevated than a silver sort of range. But there are, and I will sort of premise this, I can see a couple of minor technical things, which is why I didn't go higher, but I really believe that the simplicity of the image deserves, and the way the photographer has seen it, and that the placement of everything just works absolutely beautiful, and would love to hear from what other people think before I respond.
Let's hear what Harriet thinks.
Yeah, I was sort of at the other end of the scoring, and maybe I'm drawn out by a few of the technical issues. I agree with you, Natasha, like absolutely beautiful moment and timed really well. to have the rowers in that shadow of the building. I'm just finding the difference between the highlights and the shadow really jarring and quite dramatic, should I say, which is a little jarring. And then those sort of cooler tones with the really warm tones and the light coming from behind the building. I'm just feeling like I'm losing some detail in the horizon there. And it's all sort of just not quite melding together for me. There's sort of pinks across the water as well, and I'm not quite sure what's going on in the water. It's very soft at the front there. But yeah, great found moment. I don't want to harp on too much, but I'd love to hear, what others think, because I'd happily come up a little bit.
Let's have a chat to Alan, who's on 81.
Yeah, in terms of sense of feeling and place, in terms you can just feel the coldness, but also that warmth. You know, you're freezing, but it's so sunny and warm, and so that's what kind of brings me into this sort of silver category. Coming up a little bit, I don't know if I'd be able to get up into that silver distinction, essentially just because the tower isn't actually kind of straight up and down. So that's the only thing that's pulling me out of that range. Apart from that, I think the placement, composition, and the feeling and the mood that's been put in here suits this category perfectly.
Thanks, Alan. Let's go back to Natasha.
Thanks. So I believe, just in reply, so the highlight behind the building, I actually think really creates a stronger focus on that starkness of the building and has that contrast between this kind of coolness of the building and the warmness of all the trees and the nature around that bottom half of the building with that really warm glow to it. And you can see like the rowers on the lake that they're also in that kind of cool light, which has that real contrast between that warm and cool tones, which I think creates that kind of, you can really see the coolness of how cold they would be, but at the same time, there's a real warmth. It's like they're going from the coolness of the shadow and they're about to hit into that warmthness of the of nature. So hopefully.
Thanks, Natasha. Let's go. You will hold your score and everybody else gets a chance to rescore. Image scores 82, silver award. Well done, congratulations. Next image, please. Thank you, judges. We have a highly commended with a challenge from Gerard on 88. Thanks, Gerard. The score is currently 79. You're on 88.
For me, this is a classic travel photograph. You know, the use of the color, the contrast of the laundry being held, like being, displayed outside. It's just a really, really beautiful photograph to look at that I think speaks to culture, speaks to the sense of place in a really strong way.
Okay, let's have a chat to Harriet on 74.
Yeah, thanks for challenging, Gerard. I'd love to talk about this a little bit more. I completely agree. It's very evocative of travel photography. I sort of go back to this idea of uniqueness and if we've seen it before, and it is a photograph that is well photographed. It feels very tight on either side. I see the photographer's obviously been intentional with the drain pipes either side, but for me it feels quite claustrophobic. And I'm just wondering, I'm so glad you've challenged, because I'm just wondering, for me, when I go in, everything feels a little bit soft. I'm not sure if that is just because it's a wider angle, or I'd love someone to talk about that a little bit, because I'd love to get some clarity on that. So that would be great.
Okay, Natasha on 82, you in the middle.
Yes, I really love the color palette of this image, and I think the photographer has been well seen. I put it into silver range because I thought they did incredibly well. It does look like there is potentially a touch of movement with the image. Everything is, and I do agree, and that's why I didn't go higher for the photographer, is because there is some technical issues with focus, which just kind of, when you look into the image, it does kind of distract you that little bit from the beautiful simplicity of it. Thanks.
Thanks, Natasha. Back to you, Gerard.
I am hearing what everyone is saying. That idea of it being claustrophobic because of the pipes is making me see this photograph a little bit differently. And I've been blowing it up because does seem a little soft. And I have to wonder if, I don't hate speculating about what a photographer did, but was this originally a much larger photograph that they blew up to a point where it lost its sharpness? Or was it too slow a shutter speed to make that work? But good catch on the sharpness, because that's critical to making your photographs as professional as possible.
Okay, so you keep your score at 88 and everybody else can rescore. Thanks. Image stays at 79, highly commended. Let's have a judge change. Nuran, if you come back in. Gerard, you step back out. And next image, please. Image score 78, highly commended. Everybody pretty much in agreement there. I'm going to ask Natasha to pass a comment. Thanks, Natasha.
It's beautifully seen, and unfortunately, when you're focusing on that person in the middle, just failing to capture that eye just to be super sharp, that would have made a massive difference from a technical point of view to the viewer. Thanks.
Thank you. Matthew, you step back, and Lisa, if you could join the panel again, please. Next image, please. Image scores 78, highly commended. Most judges in that same scoring range. Lisa, could you add something that might help the photographer to improve this?
Thanks, Tony. I feel that what we've got is a situation where we've got the potential for this beautifully contained sense of location, and we're just being taken out of it because we've got the sky that's drawing us back, and we've got enough interest in the top of the clouds there at the top left to go up, and then perhaps not enough because of the very restricted tonal palette to bring us back in. I feel that there's just a better frame within this image itself. It's a beautiful image to start with, but just more careful consideration to what was included and what was excluded from the framing.
Okay, next image, please. Thank you, Lisa. Image scores 79, highly commended. We have an auto challenge almost, score range is about 26, or sorry, 18. So I'm going to call an auto a panel chair challenge so everyone can have a comment if they have something to add to the conversation, and then everyone can rescore once they've had a chance to listen to everybody else. Harriet, you were right up high at 91. You saw something. What would you like to share with everyone?
Yeah, this is, I think this is just a really interesting travel image. It could have been so obvious and I don't want to say mundane, that's not great. It could have been a very obvious travel photo that this photographer took, that they came to this place. They could have had that lady sitting with the other ladies doing the washing on the side of the pier that we've seen hundreds of times before. And instead they've waited for this moment where there's sort of almost a comedic element. There's a little bit of fun happening. There's interest. There's all these beautiful colors. There's a shape of the image that's really kind of drawing your eye along that middle frame. And then this shirt that's kind of dangling in from the top. I don't know where that's come from or where that's what's happened there, but you're kind of wondering, like, what is outside of this frame as well? Like, I can see what's happening here, but what is going on outside? Like, my eye wants to know what's happening this way and this way and up and down, and then this kind of confused look on the woman at the back there. I think it's showing, you know, uniqueness. It's showing character, atmosphere, cultural encounters that are unique and not a run of the mill. And I encourage you to look at it again. It's an oddball image, I know, but I encourage you to look again and see the humor and joy in it.
Okay, thanks, Harriet. Alan, 73.
I love oddball. I love humor. And I really do appreciate the composition of this image. I just feel like I want our main subject to be sharp. There is a large amount of sharpness through this image, and the main thing that we are drawn to is quite soft. And then from there, like, again, I don't mind. I like everything about. I even like the oddness of the blue plastic bag, which brings us back into our time. I just feel like that not being sharp, and then the lady's face at the back, who is looking, while she is sharp, it just seems like the contrast in her face and the working on her is just takes me out. She just seems, everything else seems quite crispy and contrasty, and she seems quite flat, like some more work to do. And I don't like going into technical stuff because, again, I really do love this image, but I just do feel like that sharpness and just her contrast on her face takes me out, because if she's the main focus in the background, I want her to kind of have that crispiness.
Let's go to Lisa in the middle. Thanks, Lisa.
I saw what Alan saw as well, but I chose to sort of think to myself that the oddballness that Harriet spoke about was, and that shirt at the top left, oh, it's just delightful. And I, you know, again, we get, because we zoom in, and it is a digital image and it is a digital competition. So I appreciate that, you know, that sharpness is absolutely important. But sometimes when we zoom in, I don't know, we just take away from the overall joy of something when we step back and we've got viewing distance, and it's really, really quite delightful. So Harriet, I'm a little inclined to come up, actually, and I appreciate being swayed, and we just don't see, we could have seen something way more obvious. So thanks for the conversation so far.
Is it? Sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, back to you, Harriet. That was my
Great.
fault.
Yes, look, I can see those things, Alan, and thank you for, you know, drawing attention so that we can talk about them. Yes, we could, that contrast on that woman could have been up a little bit. It is a little flat there. But the softness of the woman in the foreground, I mean, it's sort of reportage, it's travel, it's layered, you know, we have a softness that goes back, and then we have an interesting background. You know, I'm just, the more I spend time with this, the more I think, like, even that little the orange cart that's sort of perfectly placed underneath the shawl that's in the background there, the bags that are everywhere, the what looks like look, I just think it's beautiful. I think everything is placed perfectly within this image, and it's really unique and a really fun image to just stay with. And yeah, I haven't seen anything quite like this yeah, at all. So I encourage you to reward the photographer for their uniqueness.
Thanks, Harriet. You hold your score at 91. Everybody else can rescore. Thank you. Thanks, Harriet. You'll have to put your score in at 91 again, by the looks of it. Thank you. We have a silver award at 84. Well done. Okay, let's have another judge change. Harriet, you can step back, and let's bring Matthew back, and let's have the next image, please. And image scores 82, silver award. Everybody's pretty close to that. Quick comment from you, please, Alan Moyle.
Yeah, again, lovely color placement, all that works through this image in terms of, and, you know, expression, movement, all that kind of stuff. In things that probably could have helped, I don't feel you needed to have the top of that roof in. And once you see that sort of darkened sky at the top, it kind of takes us away a little bit. So I think you got to crop down and just use that big bold blue color as the main background, that bit of green and that name, that word, and I think it would have highlighted it a little bit higher.
Thanks, Alan. Natasha, you can step back. And Gerard, if you could rejoin the panel, please. Next image, please. Image scores 77, highly commended. Judges all very close together. Lisa, can you offer the photographer some comment to help improve this?
I think for me, the first thing I noticed was the post-production treatment, and and it's really hard to look past that. I think this is just a really lovely story within itself and didn't need the overly heavily treated monochrome conversion. It's just a lovely story as it is. So I think less is best.
Thanks, Lisa. Next image, please. This image scores 79, highly commended. Challenge from Naran on 86. Off you go, Naran.
Just like when I look at this image, it's like really impacted me quite well. Color palette is beautiful, like tonalities worked very, very nice. And the whole idea is actually like the little the shiny thing in the center of the image is placed very nicely, and the photographer used a very nice technique to just create that actually longer exposure to create that beautiful smoothness of the water. It takes me to exactly where it's meant to go. And just currently staying in 79, I have a bit of work to do, I guess, in here. I can't talk as well, I guess, again.
Yeah, you can.
And just like for all that, all that sort of things, and I consider actually the wherever meant to be sharp is sharp, and rest is not. And the idea is quite good. And at least one more point, guys, to 80 range. Maybe if you don't come to silver distinction.
Thank you, Naran. Let's have
Thank
a comment from Matthew, please.
Yeah, look, I do appreciate as well, Nuran, as you said, the photographer has decided to shoot a long exposure and eliminate the distraction of the water around to highlight the rocks and the rock features and things. But when we come into the shrine, and as Lisa has said, we can zoom in, it just feels like there's a bit of aberration and some noise and some separation in that shrine a little bit. It feels like it's probably been pulled out a bit too much. But the other element of it is that top third. I think we could probably lose quite a lot of that third and create some more impact with that shrine in the placement that it is in lovely.
Thanks, Matthew. Alan, quick comment from you, please.
Yeah, I'm in general kind of agreement which things have been said so far. I feel like having the brightest part of the image right there, bang on the left, which takes us away from that little temple. Like I actually, the technique is brilliant. I kind of also wish the horizon was kind of, to me, it seems like the horizon is not fully straight, which does pull me back. But again, I would love to see more work on those, even those rocks that the little shrine is on. Their values, the brightness values are much further down than the other rocks on the left. So that just takes me away, and I would love it to be the main focus of the image.
Thanks, mate. We'll go back to Naran.
All said perfectly, but if I'm a travel magazine editor, and I would like to put this one in my just magazine, if you like, because of there are lots of negative space. I agree that actually, and the top part is actually doesn't look very necessary. But when we look at the images like this, is this negative space sometimes needed for just creating an artwork or just like a little bit of storyline saying there, and just like one little point that actually take to silver level. And I'm please encouraging you come to the silver with me at least.
Okay, you hold your score around at 86, and everybody else can rescore. Thanks, judges. Image stays at 79, but there were some lovely comments in there and something we could all learn from. Thanks, Duran. Alan, you're going to step back, and Harriet, you're coming back on the panel. Next image, please. Image scores 84, silver award. With Lisa possibly choosing to challenge that because she's at 89. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Tony. Oh, when we did the run through earlier, I was looking forward to seeing this image again. It really was just visually very striking, very engaging. It absolutely speaks of place, speaks of time as well. I can't see any elements that wouldn't belong there. I'm sitting at 89, silver with distinction. I stayed in the silver with distinction range, and I'd ask my fellow judges to reconsider and let me know what it is that you're not seeing that I'm seeing, because I'm loving this image.
Let's ask Matthew because he's on 78.
Yes, I'm on 78. Look, I absolutely agree, Lisa. I agree that it's showing our place. It's giving us the story of where we are and what we're looking at. The things that my eye is just captured by is that brightness on the right-hand side of the sunrise, sunset, and probably sunrise that's coming up. It just feels like it's competing for the subject matter that's right beside it, and the balance of those two things. That's what's throwing me off in looking at the image as I layer through it.
Okay, let's go to Gerard. You're on 87, Gerard.
I love the surprise, like the floating island in the middle of the sky. You know, there's something surreal about it, which I'm kind of a fan of in photography. If you can do it as a reality as opposed to a manufactured photograph, I think that's a good vision on the part of the photographer. I agree that the right hand side's a little bit bright. I sometimes have this feeling about there are acceptable problems with a photograph that don't actually take away from the overall impact of it. So I'm not as influenced by, you know, the highlights being a little blown out on the right hand side, because I think there's a lot of strength in what the photographer saw with the reflection and the balance in the rest of the photograph.
Thanks, Gerard. Let's go back to Lisa.
Thank you, Matthew and Gerard. I appreciate those comments. I want to reiterate the notion that this image is about place, but it is also about time. And I feel that by including the bright area there, that, you know, we are speaking of sunrise, sunset, whatever it might be, it immediately just places it at a moment in time, which to me is a double joy. And I didn't feel that it was blown out. It was just like, oh, this is what we're doing, that the difference between night and day is appearing. I felt there was a softness, so I had a really emotional engagement with this image. And I just asked my judges, we're close. Matthew, come on, you can do it. We're close to getting more of us into silver with distinction, but let's just reward this beautiful frame and this beautiful comment on place in the travel category by at least coming up a few points and looking what next category we can move this into.
Thanks, Lisa. You hold your score at 89. Everybody else can rescore. We have an 86, silver with distinction. Well done. And I'm going to bring Natasha back, and we're going to ask Lisa, you can step back for image. Next image, please. Image scores 85, silver distinction. We have a challenge from Gerard on 90. Thanks, Gerard.
For me, this harkens to classic photojournalism in the spirit of Henri Cartier-Bresson. There's a beauty and strength in the person's expression and the way the hands are used and the texture of the window with the bars on it. I think is like a really strong sense of the place and the way this woman lives. And I'd encourage photograph. I love this photograph, and I'd encourage everyone to see things in that light.
Okay, let's go to Harriet on 76.
Yeah, I'm at the other end, and I'm glad we're talking about this image. Yeah, for me, it becomes a little bit more of sort of I'm battling a bit with sort of maybe an ethical or like thinking about the photographer's place here, and you know, what their connection is to this person, and it feels a little bit like they've kind of walked past and they're kind of creating a story around this person, in that they're kind of capturing this person behind this jail almost, and there's this sadness looking out, and is the photographer projecting this onto the person, or is that what's happening? And so I'm really glad we're talking about it, because I want to hear from everyone, and you know, that might influence my score as well. But that's sort of where my mind goes immediately to, yeah, what is the situation of the relationship between these people, and how is the photographer involved with the collaboration here with the sitter?
Thanks, Harriet. Naran?
First of all, I was a bit tough on the image change for Jared, actually, like putting in the gold range. I was a bit, I'm coming to gold with this image. What this image represents, that actually it's a beautiful use of light and shadow. like basically this light and shadow gives us actually great sense of actually absence and presence. We have presence of the person in here looking like a Chairman Mao sort of figures there, and that all the little elements and that darkness behind it, it's more to the mystery. And we don't need to see anything because of presence in the front get very captivating and we make us ask what's behind this individual person. And as Jared mentioned, that actually beautifully done, very nice, and graphical elements perfectly placed. Eyes are where they're meant to be, hands are whatever they have to be, and nose, mouth, everything works perfectly with this image. But great way of actually playing with the image with the light and shadow details. And I'm joining to gold with Jared with this image, and I'm just suggesting that another couple of judges joining with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Naran. Natasha, do you have something to add?
Yeah, just quickly, I was sort of a bit unsure exactly where to place this, so I'm glad we're actually having a chat about it. When I keep looking at it, I can't decide if the highlight on that left beam of the image is mirroring what we're seeing in the image or whether it's more of a distraction. And if we actually cropped in a little bit on both sides, it would be a stronger image. So I'm curious to see, Gerard or anybody else, if you'd like to comment, just because I can see that the beauty of that tonality, I think the photographer did a great job in capturing it and processing in the post as well.
Thanks, Natasha. Gerard, back to you.
Natasha, that's actually a pretty insightful observation. I'm kind of seeing the highlight as similar to the highlights throughout the photograph. There's a kind of pattern of that highlight that takes you all the way through the photo. Also, Harriet brought up about the relationship between the photographer and the subject. And I don't know if there's a description on this. I mean, that's where a caption is supposed to illuminate what we're seeing in the photograph that answers those questions. And then I'm not sure we have that. Do we have that?
No, we don't, not in this category.
Okay. Like I come from a photojournalism background, and those captions are very important, because otherwise we can, like, a picture tells 1,000 words, but without a caption, we'll make up 900, of something that doesn't even apply. So that's what I would like to see, and I think it might answer Harriet's question. But I just find this, like, there's a luminosity to it. There's a humanity to it that I just find really compelling.
Thank you, Gerard. You hold your score at 90. Judges, take on board what you've heard and rescore, please. Image scores 88, silver with distinction. And we'll ask Matthew to step back, and we'll bring back Lisa. Thank you. And next image, please. Image scores 81, silver award. Challenge from Harriet on 88. Thanks, Harriet.
It's just very striking image, and just very powerful, I guess, that as soon as it came up, I was kind of drawn in, which is always an exciting thing with an image. That obviously the wind swept snow off the top of the mountains is beautiful. And then the details of the human element at the bottom and how we interact with this majestic kind of mountain that's there. I just popped it into silver with distinction. I think it's a really strong, powerful image that's a classic travel image. So I'd love to hear from the rest of the judges as to perhaps why it didn't get into silver for you.
Okay, let's ask Lisa on 78.
Harriet, if you can answer for me, because I'm absolutely engaged with the image, love it. What do you think about the people that are cropped off in the bottom corner? You know, that's the own, like, everything is magic and they're not magic and they're cropped. And but I'm listening, and I'd love to have a conversation about that.
Okay, Natasha, you were bang on 81.
I think the image has so much potential. I just think it's unfortunate that the photographer decided not to do some cleanup in post-production, like include, they are in this category allowed to remove dust spots, which you can clearly see, which are a big distraction on that right-hand side just above the mountain line. There's just a couple of really large ones there. There's also the vignetting around the top edges and that kind of dark spot at the very middle top of the frame that I'm seeing. That I wonder if they just cropped that out a little bit, it would have really elevated this image. I really wanted to score it a lot higher. But those are the elements that really just kept me in that lower range.
Okay, let's go back to Harriet. Thanks.
Yeah, so the people, yes, agreed. I think the crop could have been a little bit wider at the bottom on either side, actually, just aesthetically, just to give it just a little bit more space. I mean, there's something to be said for the dominance of the mountain, kind of like, you know, really dominating the people that are pushed out of frame. And I think that's kind of like a nice little story there. I think a tiny little bit more room would have been great for the photographer to have. Yes, I did see the vignette marks, which are quite yeah, again, yes, they are there. I didn't see the one in the middle there, Natasha. And that then becomes a little bit, yes, I guess the photographer, hopefully, if they're listening, that they can see that they need to do a little bit of tidying up, little technical things. But the image on a whole, I think it probably deserves more than a highly commended. It's a silver capture for sure. Yeah, I encourage you to have another look and come up a bit maybe.
Thank you, Harriet. Next, if you can hold your score and everybody else rescore, thanks. Image scores 81, silver award. And Nuran, you can step back for a bit. Alan, if you could rejoin the panel, please. And let's have the next image, please. This image scores 81, silver award. Natasha?
I had a feeling that I was going to need to challenge this one. I really love the expression of the man in the middle of the frame. I also really love there's kind of this very old worldly feel with the paintings on the wall, and then you have this robot dog who's kind of sitting at his arm, which just gives that kind of quirky and humor to the image. And I'd really love to hear what other people have to say from their point of view before I come back to any more comments.
Gerard, 77.
I think the subject, the person in this photograph is fantastic, and the sense of place has a lot of potential in it. I just feel like it really should have been framed a lot tighter and made him larger in it and only implied some of what the artwork was about instead of putting all of the artwork in and including the wall, which is a fantastic wall. I mean, those kind of textures attract us as photographers, but I think this should have been more about the individual and less about the stuff and the sense of place.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Lisa on 80.
Reiterating what Gerard has said about the framing, and I feel that we've got an opportunity here for the photographer to have really enclosed the space. So we were with this person in this very contained universe, rather than being allowed to escape out with some of that negative space down there. And I quite like the fact that I do quite like the fact he's a bit on a recline, you know, like the model. I do get that. Tony, what was Natasha's score?
It got 81 and Natasha was on 86.
Okay, so Natasha's asking us to go silver with distinction.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Back to you, Natasha.
Yeah, thank you. I understand where you're coming from of maybe being that he is the center of the frame and being cropped in, you could he would be more interesting. But I actually think part of what I really enjoy about this image is the fact that you can see the wall. The fact is that the artwork isn't all straight. There's a lot of crookedness in the way that it sits, which is kind of like the wall. The wall kind of feels like it's cracked and it could be a bit crooked in this space. And it has this very old worldly feel, which has obviously that quirkiness of the robot dog, which I mentioned earlier. And it also has like things like the old school typewriter in the foreground. There's a lot of kind of this old and modern kind of elements, which I think bring it all together. And I think that even the artwork itself, there's a lot of kind of, it really lends itself into that kind of much like a previous time, you know, much into that early, you know, impressionism kind of time of art. Whereas obviously these are images that seem to be done a bit more recently with a throwback to that time. So I just think there's a real interest in this image, and I would love to for you guys, because I think that this is highly refined and it is distinctive. So I'd love to see it go a little bit higher. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Natasha. You hold your score at 86. Everybody rescore, please. Score of 85, so with distinction. Excellent. Great scoring. Next image, please. Thanks, Gerard. Image scores 80, silver award. Quick comment, if we can, please, from Lisa.
Thanks, Tony. Lovely moment. Feeling a little weighted, not quite right for me. I feel that we're very top heavy and we've got that very bright light at the top. And I think whenever you include a lighting source in your work, it really needs to be well exposed. And you need to think about it as a feature as well. So a well exposed light, and then for me, a little bit more room on either side. And I feel we would have had a really lovely image that would have even been a higher score.
Thanks, Lisa. Let's have a judge change. Harriet and Harriet, you can step off, and Matthew, you come back on, please. Next image, please. Image scores 78, highly commended. Quick comment, if I can, please, for Matthew.
Look, the tone in the image is really lovely. Those nice soft colors and the roofs, they're really lovely, pointing right up to that gorgeous cross right at the top of our sky. It's really nicely balanced, top to bottom, left to right, and it's been graded and treated really well.
Thanks, Matthew. Let's go to the next image, please. We have a score of 83, silver award. Matthew would like to challenge this at 91. Thanks, Matthew.
Yes, please. Can I just first read outstanding image showing excellence in concept, craft, and impact, confidently original or emotionally powerful with few, if any, distractions. I firstly am failing to see any distractions in it. I really appreciate the 3 seats, and including, and having 3 of them there. It's always a really good number, or odds are great to work with. The connecting to the scene, inviting you to come and sit and look at them under this lovely tree, and viewing what's in front of us, and the busyness that's in that mid ground of the people playing and walking around on whatever open field, with our lovely big feature of that wheel going around in really nice soft colors, where we're looking and seeing it at the detail that's in it, surrounded by the lovely old building and structure behind it. It's just such an inviting scene that we're being asked to come and participate in. I highly appreciate every aspect of this image.
Thank you, Matthew. Lisa, you're on 79.
Matthew, the only thing that held me back, and if you can address that, let's talk about it, is I felt the wheel was just cut. I felt that even though we can't see any more of the wheel, even if the fence didn't go through it, we know it's there, you sort of naturally. So I just felt like the wheel was sitting on the fence line, but everything else about it is really quite exquisite. So I'm in the top end of highly commended. I do know I've underscored, but I'd like to unpack that just briefly.
Gerard, 84, you were in the middle.
I love the sense of invitation in this photograph, to be in this place, to sit in those chairs. It's a dialogue with the viewer that I just find really compelling. And I think I may have underscored this particular one. There's so much balance and beauty in it.
Thanks, mate. Go to Alan quickly. Something to add?
Yeah, I feel this is in that sort of silver range for me. I feel like potentially the dark treatment, the burning in on the leaves on the top of the frame, it just seems a bit too heavy in that sense. And it feels to me like while we've got all that background, midground in focus, the chairs and the tree, the softness of those take me a bit out of it. But again, I do really appreciate and love this image too.
Thank you, Alan. Matthew?
Look, I'm burning in of the leaves. I'm zooming in on that. I don't think I can see any darkening or burning in. They're sitting really pleasantly in the sky. There's no haloing around any of them as I'm zooming in and looking at them. Lisa, as far as where the wheel sits and bisecting, I feel like we're just crouched and we're down a little bit. If we were up a little bit, then the separation of the wheel to the sky and the tree over above, that tree is just beautifully tucking over and cosseting the top of that wheel. It's really been placed in such a perfect ratio and relationship to each other. And exactly as Gerard said, those chairs are inviting us to come and sit. And yes, there might be a tiny little bit of softness in the chairs, but the sharpness throughout the entire image and the depth of field that's been created in there in all of those layers, so we can see every aspect of this image without being probably distracted by too many things in it. I really see that we can reward this photographer for placing all of the elements in this and balancing them all, both visually and tonally.
Thanks, Matthew. You're holding on to 91. Everybody else can rescore. Thank you, judges. We have an 86 silver with distinction. Lisa and Gerard, you can both step off for the next one, and we'll bring back Harriet and we'll bring back Narain. Thanks, guys. And next image, please. Image scores 80, silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. A brief comment, if I can, please, from Natasha.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image. And I think that in this particular image, there just is probably a little bit too much information, and there seems to be a lot of extra things going on either side, where the beauty of the story is really in that middle section with your character, your man. So I think potentially look at recropping it, or even looking at different angles you might have taken.
Okay, Natasha, you can step off the panel and we'll bring back Lisa. Next image, please. Image scores 84, silver award. Challenge from Alan on 93. Thanks, Alan. Away you go.
So this is that kind of essential travel shot. This is what, again, like, I know as photographers we look at different things when we travel, and we're not always looking straight ahead. We look up and we look down, and to see this, the story that you can tell is like it's some kind of very busy, over touristed, like amazing location, and you just see the diversity of footwear, and then that kind of foot right in the center, that the barefoot there, just giving us a sense of like place and an idea of this location and what's actually happening. And then you've also got, you know, the bits of rubbish that have been, or stones and things like that, they're just kind of buried into there, into around the image as well. Sharpness is great. The side light that's coming through, the just to show up that texture is brilliant. So I believe this is really up there in that gold.
Okay, so a bit of a mixture of scores. Alan, you're on, I'm not, Alan, sorry, Lisa, you're on 80. You're down towards the bottom end.
Yeah, Alan, thanks for challenging this. I think I've undervalued it. And by seeing, now you've pointed out that barefoot print, I think it's the only one there. And it speaks a lot then about humans in place. Yeah, sitting right on silver, happy to come up. And I love the contained frame. And I love that we know that we are seeing a snapshot of life in general in this place. So I'm on board to come up higher.
Okay, quick comment from Matthew on 86, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, I am right in the middle, 86. I appreciate all of the things that Alan said, has spoken about it. The travel that we're seeing, the people who have seen and witnessed whatever it is that they're coming to look at, or have left after looking at it. All of the elements in it, the different types of footwear, absolutely that human footprint in the center. I think to probably look at it, to elevate a little bit more, come in a little bit tighter on it. There almost feels like a few that are to the top right hand side that don't need to be there. You know, we could punch in a little bit closer and give us even more impact.
Thanks, Matthew. Alan, back to you.
Well, I don't believe if we punched in closer, we'd get more impact. I even think if we came out wider, we'd get more impact. The whole idea of this photo is showing that sense of population, of people coming through. I don't know if you know too much about footwear, but you've got such a range of footwear there too, of different sort of brands, different styles. So yeah, you've got everything from the one person who's just barefoot through to the really expensive trainers to the casual footwear. You can tell a story about the people who are here and whose footprints have been here. So for such a simple image, it is so beautifully crafted that it deserves up in that gold.
Okay, you hold your score, Alan. Thank you. And everybody else can take on board the comments and reassess what they've scored if they choose to. We have an 88, silver distinction. Well done, judges. And let's have a quick judge change. Lisa, you can step back. Alan, you can step back. Let's bring in Gerard and let's bring back Natasha. Okay, next image, please. Image scores 83 and is a silver award. Gerard, 88, changing. You've got 4 people in silver with you, or silver distinction, and 1 just below. You'll have that's it.
Again, trying to navigate the cursor here. 2 screens. It's such a well-organized image with that repeating color of the screens and the lights everywhere. The sense of the diagonal that comes across the lower right third. The massive humanity coming through the crosswalk. I just think it's a really strong photograph. Maybe, and this is my only criticism, I think these are rail lines. If there was a sense of light streams kind of going on there, or more of a sense of movement in that space, maybe that would add to it, or maybe it would distract from the movement of the people. I hate it when I get conflicted like that. But overall, I love the feeling in this photograph. I think it has a really effective sense of the place that we're looking at.
Okay, let's hear from Naran on 78. You're on mute, Naran.
I'm not mute anymore. Just like this image is a beautiful, very nice perspective, but a couple of things that actually just didn't go to silver range for my liking, because it's a bit too white for my thinking. And also some of the icons, like a Coca-Cola sign, is orange and the green. I don't know, it didn't connect me as a good travel image because of different type of lightings and all this sort of things. I agree, but that sort of things didn't make me go to the silver range. But I'm very happy to listen what the other judge is going to say.
Matthew, you were close to Gerard.
Yeah, I'm very close to Gerard. For the crossing that it is, the Shibuya crossing, which is chaotic at the best of times on ground level, and we can see that chaos going on down there, it feels also very peaceful and serene the way we're looking at it and where we're viewing it from. And the connection of all those tonalities in it. I don't really see the Coca-Cola sign being orange there, Nuran. It's just that we're not seeing all of the Coca-Cola sign because it's blending up or blending down. So we've only got the Coca-Cola as sort of the red in it, but the connection of all of those tones. And I was a little bit like Gerard, thinking, oh, I wanted something in that space on the bottom right with the railway line. But I think if we had have put anything in there and there were trains and things traveling, it would have been competing for what we are looking at, which is showing the Shibuya crossing from the angle that we're looking at it instead of ground level where it's mostly captured from.
Thanks, Matthew. Back to you, Gerard.
I'm curious to know why this repeating color is being used throughout this area. Like, was it some special memorial that they were doing? That's my only question about it. And again, I go back to sometimes I need captions to understand what I'm actually seeing. But I'm still in the camp that overall, it's a very beautiful photograph. It's a fantastic sense of place and an unusual light, I think, to see that much aquamarine in a photo.
Thanks, Gerard. You're on 88. You'll hold your score. Judges, you get the chance to rethink about what you've scored. Take on board the comments and let's have another score. Thank you. And we have an 86 silver distinction. Congratulations to the photographer. And thank you, judges. That was our last image. Again, it was a power-packed collection of travel images with a lot of great comments. plenty to talk about, and I'm sure you could have spoken for twice as long as I allowed each of you to do. But we've had a good couple of hours. Hope the viewers have learnt as much as I have and been entertained along the way. Thanks again, and thank you to the panel from my perspective. It's been a privilege to chair you guys, and I'm going to hand you back to Robin Campbell. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks so much, Tony. What a great category. Really appreciate your panel mentoring there. And well done to all the judges as well. Such a lovely eclectic group of images. I'm sure the audience thoroughly enjoyed seeing those judges. So that wraps up our travel category for 2025. If you didn't make it in the top 30, don't worry, there is always next year. So it might be a good excuse to go and do some tax deductible travel in the next 12 months. Thank you so much to our competition director, Daniel, and director of judging, Chris, for keeping this ball rolling, and to our valued sponsors, Nikon, AZO, KL, Godox, Ilford, Photography Studies College, and Print Shop. We really appreciate our sponsors. So thank you also to everyone tuning in. We've loved having you here. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow from 5 o'clock onwards, and that is when our live awards presentation is on. We'll be back around 3 p.m. to be judging the documentary category. Until then, we'll see you soon.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.